Hello, this is just a cool trick that I discovered when I was working on an environment. I needed the ground plane to be more dense where the camera was going to be and less dense the further away from the camera. So if I'm sitting over here, it wouldn't make too much of a difference. The density would look the same from the camera. So I'll put this example scene together just to kind of demonstrate what I'm doing here. It's very dynamic, very easy to edit, non-destructive, and when I'm good with it, I can just hit apply. So let's create this cool thing. I'm going to turn that off and start fresh. So I'm just going to pull in a circle, scale it up by 10. And I'm not going to be walking through all the hotkeys and stuff. Again, this is assuming you know how to navigate Blender. Now I'm actually going to undo that. Control F and do grid fill. Now I'm just going to change the span like that because I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter. Okay, and then I'm just going to subdivide it a couple times like that. And next, so we're just going to create our ground the way, not decimated or anything like that. So I'll put a subdivision surface, turn off optimal display so we can see it. Turn that up by 2 if I want. Now let's put a displace. So we're just going to take what we have and just kind of randomize it. We're going to make a new texture. I already have one, but let's make a new one. Make a new texture object and go down to our texture object properties. I don't know if it's called texture object, but I have to separate them from file or image textures and Blender's like built-in texture thing. So in texture, let's rename this ground. I'll just put tutorial and change this from image or movie to something like clouds. And we can change the size, or not size, the depth. No? Oh, well, I obviously have not played with this. I usually just do it down here. So just pull this down to something very chill. That looks good, I guess. Okay, so we have subdivision and displace. And now we have our ground plane all figured out. We want to decimate it to optimize the scene. So this is where we bring in another circle, or it could be anything really. You could do a plane or whatever. The circle doesn't have to match the amount of vertices around as the ground plane or anything, but the only required thing is that it slightly overlaps, and you'll see later on. So just bring it out a little bit, and I'm also going to just bring it down. I'm going to hit in edit mode F, and let's see, set on a different matcap for this. There we go. I just wanted to see if it was back face or not. And then I'm just gonna select the face, right click, and hit poke faces, so we just have the vertex in the middle. So this is all we have. Now I'm going to create a vertex group for this. And I just come over here, create a vertex group, crank up weight to 1. It should already be there by default. Select the outer ring and just hit assign. And if in my end panel, if I go in the item tab, I can see any selected vertex. It's part of the name group. If we change this to weight transfer, then that changes the name here, and we can see that the weight is set to 1. We can also, in edit mode, drop down here and click on vertex group weights. This is the same view as weight paint mode, but I never use weight painting for a lot of environment stuff, so we can change it to flat if we want to see that properly. So alright, we have that. Cool. So that's what it looks like. Let's move on. So now we have this object. Let's name these. So this bottom one is called, this is our source weight, source vertex weights. And we'll just call this ground plane. It's not really plane, but whatever. Now let's add a data transfer modifier. And I've got a few other videos covering the data transfer modifier and tricks you have for that. We want to select our source, is this circle. Mix mode is replaced, that's good. Mix factor is at 1. Vertex group. Now we don't have a vertex group on this plane yet, but if we hit generate data layers, it'll generate the same vertex groups as our source. So now if we go on the drop down, that didn't work. Weight transfer. Oh hey, vertex data, vertex groups, generate data layers. There it is. I guess you have to specify that I want my vertex groups here, and then it pops up. So there it is. Sorry about that. Now we want to check vertex data, vertex groups, mapping. We want to change this to project face interpolated or nearest face interpolated, but I find I get better results with projected face interpolated. So if we select these so we can see the effects in edit mode and go into edit mode, and then so never mind, and go down here into our overlays, go to vertex group weights, we can see that it's coming over just fine. And if we move this up, this will also change too. So very nice. Undo that. Okay, so that's pulling in just fine. Next, we're going to use this as our mask for, and thankfully the decimate modifier has this control. I really appreciate it when they put this in the modifiers. So, all right. So without this, if I turn this off and just do a ratio of, you know, something low like 0.75, we can see an obvious change. Now if we put in a vertex group weight transfer, see that we are getting more dense geometry here, and it's getting less dense as we branch out. So very nice. Change this if we need, 0.1. So change that as you need. Another thing that's cool about this is, you know, we can have multiple spots if we wanted. So, you know, here we could have like maybe like 2 objects or something. If we could, I guess we could flip these. I haven't tried this before, but let's do this. So if we select this, hit assign at 1, and then hit assign at 0, and then we go into our modifiers here and flip this. It's going to be more dense wherever we have this point. So what's cool is I can, you know, we can grow this, and I can just duplicate that, bring this over, pull it down a bit just so it's not, you know, meshing together. And now we could, like, you know, slice these together or something, or, you know, if we have 2 spots in the scene where we have cameras close by, then that's what we have. So very nice. So it's very dynamic, very easy and stuff to edit. We are getting this, so you would have to change your source, you know, this geometry, like clean it up. But I mean, this end result looks quite fine. So anyway, just some very cool tricks, I guess, that I wanted to share. So hopefully this helped 1 or 2 people out there in the world. If it did, please comment and tell me that it helped you, because that encourages me to keep sharing this stuff. Yeah, thanks for watching. Consider liking and subscribing and commenting and all that fun stuff. Yeah, see ya.